Happy Saturday, Robert.
Happy Saturday to you.
The question, Robert, that the world has tonight is, of course, how great is the cinematography matching up with the cinema itself in the film Friday the 13th, Part 7, A New Blood?
Oof. Oof. I rewatched a little bit of it. I think there was a marathon going on, and I thought, oh, and a lot of people love Part 7, The New Blood. I thought, oh, maybe I'll watch a little bit, and I just, it has that total 80s kind of soft focus. You know what I mean? Like everything is a little bit TV-ish, kind of out of focus. But my issue is with the sound.
Yeah.
They have like three records going on at the same time. They'll put on a little bit of Friday the 13th soundtrack and it'll overlap with some other kind of new stuff, and it just doesn't match what's going on the screen. And I remember in the theater being kind of like, what is happening here?
I never really put that together. And then you mentioned that. So I watched like a part of it, and you're absolutely right. It's almost like they weren't listening, the audio engineers, if there were any, listening, watching what they were putting the sound there. I think they were just like laying down music tracks during like visual moments that were dark and looked maybe scary. They're like, just put that here. But it was really like poorly assembled.
No attempt at mixing, or they just like it was just kind of overlapping, and then people would be kind of doing random non-scary things, and the music would be going ring, and I'm like, she's just walking. I don't know.
Yeah, what's happening? And I like when you just said it has that TV kind of out of focus feel to it, because it does. It doesn't really look like some of the other Friday the 13th movies. It looks sort of as if you were watching a bad episode of Tales from the Dark Side or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is when, starting with part 6, and then 7, it got a little too slick. And I kind of like we talked about before, I kind of like my Friday the 13th gritty. And
I do too.
And with some decent dialogue,
given the source material. What in your opinion, what is your least favorite Friday the 13th entry?
Ignoring the remake.
Yeah.
The original. I'll probably still Jason Goes to Hell. It just kind of, that went out too off the rails for me.
Good call.
Then
that would be a second for me. I think 8 Manhattan is still the worst one.
Manhattan.
I just can't. I watched that last October, I think. I was like texting you during it, and I was like, this is just so bad. I don't think I'll ever watch this again for the rest of my life, unless I were with somebody that never saw it, or there was a marathon and I was watching them all. I would never seek that out again.
Let's watch. And that guy just died, the principal in the film. I think it was 93.
Oh, yes. You did mention that, I believe. Jason Goes to Hell is pretty bad.
Yeah. He was kind of old then, but obviously
Yeah, he was old then. Friday the 13th 7, though, is funny that you did bring up the score and the way it doesn't really match it, because it is really like poorly produced. And the dialogue's terrible, I mean, they're not. None of them are Citizen Kane's, but it's not. The other ones I feel were so much better.
Yeah, they tried to kind of do a best of, I think, and kind of put these kind of characters in, and maybe. So by the time that one came out, I was 18. So obviously I'd kind of grown up a little bit, but I already knew, I'm like, this is not good, and
not good.
My favorite moment though in that one is when the girl gets thrown out the window. That she's tossed out the window, and somebody comes a stunt man in a long wig.
Yes, it's so bad. 7 is in my bottom 3 probably. I think it's Jason Goes to Hell, 7, and probably 8. I think the last 3 were bad. 5 is probably there, but 5 still has some enjoyable scenes, and it was still had some good acting in the sense of like that franchise. It was scary, more scary than 7. 7, I don't understand the plot of the doctor. That
it's Bad News Cruise.
You've met him,
Bernie.
right? You've met all
Yeah,
of these people.
yeah. Actually, that actor in particular, I was more excited to talk to him about. He was in the movie Looker, uh, which was directed by Michael Crichton,
I know what you're talking about.
and with
He was
Susan
in that
Day,
movie.
yeah, and Albert Finney. He played like one of the TV producers. So I talked to him more about that than anything else. But yeah, he was a fun guy to meet, and I think it's probably weird for them that they do these little. He's probably was on that shoot for like 3 weeks tops, and like now they do conventions now, and these movies follow them around forever, thinking that they probably just did it for a quick paycheck.
Yeah, that's what I love about that whole the horror film 80s, 70s short, the circuit of the short circuit is a great flick, but the circuit of doing those films is these are bit parts for a lot of these actors, and a lot of them were forgettable roles, or they never did anything else after that. I'm saying some of them, not
Yeah,
all of them, obviously, but that's all they needed to do, and that will follow you around forever, and you can make money off of that. Some people do it shamelessly too, which is great. I love when you
yeah,
see like what's that?
they get a little too into it, some of them, but
Yeah, I'm just thinking of you're familiar with the WWE, formerly the WWF wrestling. There was an actor, I say actor, he was a wrestler in like the early 90s, late 80s named Virgil. And there's WWF is a big WWE I should say has a big cult following. There's a lot of people. I watched it as a kid. I fell out of it after I was like 10, but there's a big following of that. There were these wrestlers from the 80s will still like do conventions obviously. And there was this one wrestler who's so shameless. They created a website called like Pathetic Virgil or something like that. And what this guy does is shows up at conventions related to or not related to wrestling and asks people to give him money for like autographs. And it's like sad. He's done like malls and like outside of like a NASCAR event.
yeah,
Like not unrelated to wrestling, but I see some of that with these with some of the film stuff. But the thing with the film conventions that are so cool with these horror movies in the 80s is you when you see these people you're like, "Oh, you remember that scene?" And it's like living the movie again.
actually, one of my not so good interactions was with
Uh-oh.
an actor from Friday 13th Part 7 that I think, because I'm kind of a completist, even though I don't love the movie, but I thought, oh, he's here, I'll pay and get his autograph or whatever. Literally
Yeah.
could barely interrupt his conversation with his friend to kind of give me the time of day, and I'm like, ugh, what a waste.
Who? Which actor?
I won't name names, but William Butler.
William Wait, who was he in 7? Was
He
he the
played the boyfriend that gets killed at the beginning with his girlfriend. They're on their way to it. Like he plays the cousin, I think.
William Butler
And he
in
was
part
in
7?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and some stuff like that. So I could have caught him on an off day, too.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
He got killed in the woods in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not really saying
Well,
much. But he got killed in the woods. Everybody did. Oh, he was too cool for school.
I don't know. I think maybe he was just busy or I interrupted.
I
But
don't
I was
think
just
he's
like,
busy.
well, that was kind
I
of
don't think William Butler's busy. I just had to Google him. I don't.
my waste of time. But
That's so rude because that you're there for the fans.
yeah, but it's okay. There's worse.
You probably have some. You could probably write a book on your interactions with all these celebrities.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a little more because it's Sundance Film Festival's coming up again, and
Yes.
we're gonna attend it virtually, but and usually your interactions with them are pretty short and sweet, but sometimes the more you're around them, I'm thinking back to the 25th anniversary convention in 2003, and
Yeah.
you're almost around some of those people a little too long, and
What do you mean?
you just they kind of you got to know their kind of kooky personalities a little bit, and you're like,
Oh,
like maybe it's better to that
to
we
keep.
kept it brief at the table.
Yeah,
Rather
you don't want to
than
see
getting
the
into that
wizard
sort of
behind the curtain.